Hi everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9. Going to learn the cause of this crash at a convenience store in northeast Oklahoma.
We speak with officials at Pittsburgh State University on CARES Act funding that's been distributed to students who were displaced by the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Caitlin Shive. That's coming up.
New learning assessments suggest that the pandemic hasn't had as big of an impact on learning as many had feared. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
Doug Eddy is weather. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Police in Carla Junction, Missouri continue investigations into a crash yesterday that critically injured a 14-year-old. Police say the teenager was riding their bicycle and was hit by a vehicle at the intersection of Ashmore and Pennell Street. The driver of the vehicle was not injured. Police say a chain of events led to a crash into this convenience store on South Main Street in Miami. An SUV hit a car, police say. The car was then pushed up and hit the store. The wall of the store didn't collapse but does have structural damage, as we're seeing. No one was injured. The Otter Stop convenience store there is still open for business. Some students at Pittsburgh State University are getting some much-needed financial relief as the university's distribution of CARES Act funding comes to an end. KOAM's Caitlin Shive has more on the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund and what it's all about.
Sophomore Abby Noble was excited to find out she was eligible for grant money that would help her after being displaced due to the pandemic.
This summer I applied for the CARES Act money. I got an email and I was all like, well, the worst is that they'll do is just tell me no. So then I got an email a month or so later saying I got it, and I was like, oh, well, that's sweet. And then I just put in my savings. And then I got an email a couple of days ago saying that I got more money, and so I read into it and I was like, wow, that's really neat that the college put back money to give to those of us who were quarantined and had COVID really affect our lives.
The money comes from the CARES Act Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. Pittsburgh State University applied for the fund in the summer and was approved. More than $2.6 million has been distributed to eligible students since.
They had to have been enrolled in the spring semester and displaced. They couldn't have been a fully online enrolled student from the very beginning because they were not displaced because of the pandemic. So these students could have used those funds for whatever they felt necessary, if it was upgrading their laptops or, like I said, if they had to install Wi-Fi in their home.
For Abby, she put her funds into her savings and used it for rent.
I put it towards my rent and towards my classes, so that's been nice since I wasn't working during that time.
Funds were distributed in 3 phases, first to Pell Grant students who were automatically eligible, and second and third phases to students who applied and were found to be eligible.
We had around 2,500 students that received the funding.
$800 went to full-time students and $400 went to part-time students in each phase, with leftover funds being distributed amongst all applicants.
We tried to unilaterally share the rest of the funds equally amongst all the students.
In Pittsburgh, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
The last distribution, phase 3 of the funds, was completed last week. Turning now to our first look at weather. Doug Eddy joining us. Rain, and more rain, right?
Yeah, it's going to continue to rain throughout the overnight hours for us tonight, and even a little bit of snow trying to mix in as well. We did get up to 50 prior to the rain for us today. We started at 34 during the morning hours, but look at the bands of showers which have been pushing through over the past several hours. Now, where you see the yellows and the oranges, that is showing us moderate rain, where we are picking up even heavier amounts of rain. So a pretty solidified band really from Joplin over toward Springfield, and these are going to continue to work through for the overnight hours tonight, mixing with a little bit of snow as well, and we're going to do the winter forecast in the second half hour.
All right, Doug Eddy, we'll see you a little bit. Thank you so much. The Miami City Council last night passed a resolution encouraging residents to follow CDC guidance for preventing the spread of COVID-19. This is not a mandate, only a recommendation. The resolution says that people should wear masks, practice social distancing, and wash and sanitize their hands frequently. Joplin Health Department reports 3 more coronavirus-related deaths. Officials say 2 of the patients, a 75-year-old man, 59-year-old woman, were residents at a long-term care facility. The other patient was a 77-year-old male, bringing Joplin's total deaths to 65. Jasper County Health Department reports 2 more deaths, bringing their total to 79. Jasper County and Joplin report theirs separately. Those patients in Jasper County were a man in his 70s, also a woman in her 50s. And over in Neosho County, Kansas, that health department there reported its first COVID-19 related death. Here's an updated look at coronavirus cases among some of our area counties. Jasper County has had 5,085 total cases. Newton County, Missouri is reporting 3,206 cases. McDonald County, Missouri has had 1,622 cases. Crawford County, Kansas is sitting at 2,507. Ottawa County, Oklahoma has had a total of 1,790 cases. During the entirety of this pandemic, learning loss has been a concern at schools across the country. Well, now new data suggests that students are doing better than many had thought. KOAM's Zach Dodge has more.
From shutdowns and quick shifts to remote learning in the spring, to isolations and changes to the school day in the fall, this year has been filled with disruptions for students. Things that many worried would cause learning loss in schools. But it might not be as bad as many had feared.
We did find that we're about 3% lower this fall to last fall in reading, and we're about 10% lower in math.
And those numbers that Joplin is seeing are being seen nationwide. The NWEA looked at MAP testing in 3rd through 8th grade and estimates that students performed similarly to students in fall 2019 in reading and were down between 5 and 10% in math.
We analyze the data on each student, and depending on the area they need help with, maybe it's algebraic thinking, maybe it's vocabulary, we have interventions designed for each of those students.
Here in Neosho, they don't quite have the numbers they need to compare to fall of 2019 because they recently changed their assessment system. But from feedback from principals and teachers, they aren't doing bad either.
We were concerned that it would be up to 6 to 9 months of learning loss based on sometimes what happens in summer. But while there was still learning loss, it wasn't as substantial as we thought it would have been.
Neosho's getting ready to do a winter assessment so they can compare what they saw in September with what they're seeing now. Joplin is currently doing the same.
What every district in Missouri is trying to mine out of that data is how do we accelerate our students' growth, because in the end, we don't want them to have learning loss.
In Joplin and Neosho, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
We have the full report from NWEA on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor one of our 4 state heroes. Charles Darnell served in the U.S. Army from 2004 to 2009. Native of Independence, Kansas, Darnell spent time in Iraq earning several awards. We are proud to thank Sergeant Charles Darnell. He is tonight's 4 state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast and later in sports. Reaction from Jeff Sims after being fired as Missouri Southern's head football coach.
Well, it definitely turned out to be kind of a nasty day for us today. The clouds, the showers working in, especially during the afternoon hours, and then just kind of on and off periods of rain, really late afternoon and then through the evening hours. And this is what we're going to see as we work into the overnight as well. Great time lapse, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course. That is in Seneca, Missouri. Temperatures, at least, were about 10 degrees warmer than what we need to be to get frozen precip. So we don't have to worry about any issues on the roads, even though the roads are still a little slick with water on them, but we don't have to deal with any ice or snow that is on the roadways. Look at the bands of rain working through. Now where you see the yellows, the oranges, that is showing us moderate to even some pockets of heavy rain over the past couple hours. Most of the green, though, is just fairly light rain, which continues to just push through. You can see a little heavier batch, though, from the metro and then stretching off toward the east. So near Springfield, Mount Vernon, Monette, Cassville, and then a couple little pockets in Ottawa County. Everybody else is picking up mainly light rain. But once you get out to the west, really Wichita, out west, that's where it is mixing with and changing over to snow, and that's where they are picking up some accumulations. Now you can see this whole storm system. Look at the little spin right across western parts of Oklahoma. That's the main upper level low, so until it passes by, we're going to continue to get the periods of rain for us tonight. Here's midnight. We drop back upper 30s to near 40. Periods of rain continue. Here's 3 a.m. Let's go all the way to 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Look at our temps, 35, 36, 37 degrees, and you can start to see some pink showing up. And what that's going to be is mixing with snow. So it will be big, fat flakes, but most likely just kind of melt on impact as it comes down. So it's not going to cause any issues, but into the early morning hours, there are going to be some pockets of snow with the rain. The rain will slowly start to taper as we head through the morning hours. We're still going to see showers tomorrow morning, and then I think by the afternoon, just kind of drizzle. It's going to be cold. Temperatures are going to struggle to warm up. Here's your day planner. We'll start at 35, 40 by noon, high temp right around 42 during the afternoon hours. Clouds will start to break up a little bit tomorrow night, and then as we head into Friday, we'll start the day cold, and then we'll break out and see mostly sunny skies, and it actually looks pretty good by the time we head into the afternoon hours. All right, additional rainfall for us tonight. I think a lot of areas are going to pick up a half an inch, maybe even some isolated 3/4 of an inch amounts across the region. So some snow mixing in tonight. Again, not a big deal, but it is going to be out there into the morning hours. 43 tomorrow. A little cool by the time we head into Friday. Most of the weekend looks good, especially on Saturday, high temp of 56 degrees, and then even 60s return by Tuesday and Wednesday.
You know, even though that snow is going to melt quickly tomorrow morning, like you were mentioning, it's still exciting. You know, that first snowfall of the season, it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm always excited to see even one flake of snow.
Yeah, it'll be nice. It'll be nice. Doug Katie will catch you a little bit. Thank you so much. Coming up, revised CDC guidance.
The CDC revises self-quarantine guidelines as states make final preparations for a COVID vaccine. I'm Casey Stiegel. We've got the latest coming up from Texas.
Survivors of COVID-19 are sometimes left with nerve damage, causing chronic pain or weakness in their arms and legs. A study at Northwestern Medicine says ultrasound or MRIs should be used to pinpoint which nerves are damaged and then determine the best treatment. States are ramping up plans to distribute a coronavirus vaccine, and public health officials say we could see the first immunizations happen this month. Fox News correspondent Casey Stiegel has more.
We're about a week away from a potential FDA decision on Pfizer's request for emergency use authorization. States must provide the federal government details on where they want a vaccine to be delivered by Friday. But some public health officials say they don't expect widespread availability until late spring or early summer.
During the month of December, January, and maybe mid-February, the number of doses that we have will be somewhat limited. We probably overall will have up to enough to immunize 40 million people.
Meantime, the CDC is issuing revised guidance for people potentially exposed to the virus. The agency saying Wednesday asymptomatic people can now end self-quarantines after 7 days if they test negative or 10 days without a test. Officials say these are alternative options. However, the safest is still the previously recommended 14 days.
If you isolate for 10 days, that the probability that you will start replicating the virus after that is about 1%.
Nationwide, nearly 100,000 people are now hospitalized with the virus. A new University of Washington model predicts the United States could require some 150,000 hospital beds by Christmas. Public health officials fear upcoming holiday travel could lead to increased surges. The CDC recommends people who do travel get tested 3 to 5 days after they return. That's the latest from Dallas. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
Just ahead, more lawsuits filed over this year's election.
The White House weighs in on the president's ongoing election fight. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. Plus, who the president-elect is talking to, coming up.
Just 49 days away from President-elect Biden's inauguration, and President Trump is still pushing back on the election results, doubling down on his claims of widespread voter fraud. This as President-elect Biden gears up for day one in office. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has more from Washington.
Tell me about what your real deep concerns are. I'd like to hear it.
President-elect Joe Biden continues to meet with those impacted by the coronavirus. On Wednesday, virtually talking with small business owners.
Every one of you is dealing with something that is very personal and affects all of you differently although in one sense, everybody's affected in the same way.
The president-elect's discussion comes on the heels of his announcement of his picks to lead the economy. But President Trump has not given up the fight to keep his job. His legal team continues to file lawsuits in battleground states, even as most of them have already certified their results. They are up against a December 14th deadline when the Electoral College meets to officially declare a winner.
The president has said that he believes all legal votes should be counted and all illegal votes should not be counted.
Attorney General Bill Barr told the Associated Press on Tuesday his department has not yet found evidence of fraud that would overturn the election results.
Attorney General Barr has stated that he and the Justice Department, this is President Trump's Justice Department, has seen no widespread fraud.
Barr's comments contrast directly with claims of a rigged election the president continues to push.
Maybe he's trying to rehabilitate his resume. I don't know his motive, but it's refreshing to hear it. Well, it's not just refreshing, it's startling to hear it.
On Saturday, President Trump is headed to Georgia to campaign for Republican Senate candidates. It will be his first rally since the election. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
After the break, gonna head down under to Australia, where this koala trying his best to cool off during a heat wave. A koala beats the heat in a Queensland, Australia backyard. Isn't that cute? The little creature feeling the brunt of Australia's heat wave, taking a water break in someone's backyard in Bowenville. Christine Tully took a video of the koala spending some time in her sprinkler, drinking water, cooling off in the spray. Now, the intense heat wave in Australia is causing concerns, serious concerns about public safety and wildfires for that matter, as parts of the region have seen temperatures in the 110s. We were just reminiscing during this last break of when we used to do that as kids, right? Just put your head, just put your whole body for that matter in the sprinkler. Slip and slide. Not a care in the world. Not a care in the world. Those were the days. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
On Monday, the Joplin City Council held a strategic planning session and outlined 6 goals for the city. I'm Chris Warner. We'll be focusing on one of those goals about community appearance, which includes Parks and Rec.
The UK jumps to the front of the pack in the race to get a coronavirus vaccine. I'm Greg Palka in London. That's my story. Coming up.
On Monday this week, the Joplin City Council held a strategic planning session. During that session, they developed a list of goals they'd like to achieve. KOM's Chris Warner has more on one of those goals.
The goal we're focusing on is improving community appearance, which includes public areas maintained by the city, like the parks.
As you drive by our parks, we tend to see trash in the stream bed, to maybe the parks not as maintained as we would like them to be. And so it's exploring all those different ways that we can improve the part of the community that we're responsible for.
Mayor Ryan Stanley says it's more about maintenance.
It's mainly us just maintaining and taking good care of the public infrastructure, our parks, the things that already exist, to make sure that they are well cared for and worthy of the city.
And the city will be looking at how to beef up maintenance across the community, which could include help from the public, as well as reallocating funding and resources. Paul Bloomberg is the Parks and Recreation Director, and he says they have more than 1,000 acres of public space to maintain, and that includes 24 city parks.
Take Mercy Park, for instance. It is a beautiful park, probably one of our flagship parks now. But the amount of flower beds and areas that we have to maintain, it takes just a whole crew all summer just to maintain that area.
Bloomberg says one thing that will be helpful is the new baseball contract with Parkwood Tournament, LLC.
That's going to allow us to reallocate some of our time that we've spent on athletic facilities over to the Parks Department, simply helping us, trash pickup. And when I say trash pickup, I'm not talking about out of trash cans. It's just trash that's throughout our parks.
Bloomberg says he's not surprised parks made the list.
And I'm not surprised by any comments whatsoever. We know that we need help. They know that we need help. And there's other departments within the city that are in the same boat.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
This goal also includes areas like streets, sidewalks, and curbs that are in need of improvement. Deadline to enroll in a health care plan through the Affordable Care Act is coming up fast. You have until December 15th To apply, there are some exceptions that allow for special enrollment after this deadline, things like birth of a child, loss of a job, marriage, or divorce. Folks over at Freeman Hospital can tell you whether you're eligible for special enrollment and help figure out the healthcare marketplace.
I just want people to know that it doesn't matter that you're a Freeman patient or not. It doesn't matter what your need is on the face of insurance. If there's a question, we're here to help answer that.
Again, for most people, you have until December 15th to enroll. A warning from the Better Business Bureau. Pet scams are increasing. The BBB says many people during this pandemic are lonely, looking for new pets, hoping to feel less lonely. They pay hundreds of dollars online for a new pet that ends up not existing. The BBB recommends video conferencing with the person you're about to pay to reduce the chances of getting scammed. Whisper, an internet service provider, has partnered with the FCC to help low-income households. It's a program called Lifeline. People living on tribal lands in Oklahoma can get free Whisper installation, also a $34.25 discount on their Whisper monthly bills. You can visit lifelinesupport.org for more information. It's not that you're a Grinch, okay? You just don't like wrapping presents. That's the case for many people in a way. Maybe not you, I don't know. Terry Guile has set up a shop in Nevada, Missouri for people to drop off gifts to be wrapped. Now, Guile has cystic fibrosis, and she's asking for donations to help the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
We would just greatly appreciate the community supporting us in this in any way they can. It means the world to us, and we know there's a lot of families out there that have a lot of struggles and a lot of other organizations and stuff, but if they could support ours, we would greatly appreciate it.
Good job. Guyer's wrapping present business is located at 300 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. The UK becoming the first country in the world to approve the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for emergency use, but as more vaccines are approved, more countries are scrambling to get their own supply. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Pelcott has more now from London.
We still have at least a week before the FDA gives approval to the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine in the U.S. But it's a different story here in the U.K. Regulators announcing Wednesday they've approved the vaccine for widespread emergency use. And the first doses should be distributed by early next week.
We expect to deliver in the coming days, somewhere in the region of about 800,000 doses, and then scale up from there.
The approval makes Great Britain the first country to start a mass inoculation program with Pfizer's vaccine. The initial shipments will go mostly to nursing homes, followed by doctors and nurses from the National Health Service. And they'll be free for every British citizen.
Rolling out the vaccine, free at the point of delivery, according to clinical need, not ability to pay, is in the finest tradition of our National Health Service.
And other countries could be looking to follow the UK. Just hours after the announcement here, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered officials to start mass vaccinations next week. But global health officials are warning, with rich governments rushing to buy in bulk, there may not be enough vaccines to fully contain the virus in the developing world.
If we continue to ignore the realities of what emerging and dangerous pathogens can do to our civilization, then we are likely to experience the same or worse again and within our lifetimes.
Pfizer says they've signed contracts for some 600 million doses of their vaccine around the world by the end of next year, and maybe many more to come. In London, Greg Pelcott, Fox News.
The United Nations voting to reclassify marijuana for medical use as a less dangerous drug. The UN's Commission for Narcotic Drug approved a World Health Organization recommendation today to remove medical marijuana from a category of the world's most dangerous drug. It was listed alongside highly addictive narcotics, including heroin. Advocates say the change will boost medical research, also help legalization efforts around the world. A bit later, trying to seal the deal for another COVID-19 stimulus bill.
The top two Democrats on Capitol Hill expressed support for a new bipartisan coronavirus relief package. I'm Ray Bogan with whether or not the president is also willing to sign that into law. Coming up.
Well, of course, we've been dealing with the periods of rain throughout the afternoon into the evening hours, and we've had pockets of moderate, some areas even heavy amounts of rain. So where you see the yellows, the orange, that is showing us moderate and even some heavy batches of rain. A little bit of a lull in northeastern parts of Oklahoma, but that will start to fill back in as we work through the overnight hours for us tonight. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer. So mainly into the metro, you can see those bands of rain, and then a little bit lighter on the southwest side as you get into northeastern parts of Oklahoma. But again, we're just going to have these periods of rain throughout the overnight hours tonight, and it's mixing with and then changing over to snow once you get out west of Wichita. Look at the upper level low right across central parts of Oklahoma. Once that passes by, that's when we'll cut off the rain, which isn't going to occur until really tomorrow afternoon. So let's go through time. Here's midnight. Periods of rain, temperatures upper 30s to near 40 degrees. As we go through the morning hours, we drop into the mid 30s. You can see moderate rain on top of the region, and then by 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, I think we'll start to see a few flakes of snow mixing in. This is not a big deal. There may be as many as 3/4 of the precip coming down could be flakes of snow. There could be 1 or 2 random flakes, and that's just about it. It's just not much of a winter storm for us. And then we'll have bands of light showers as we continue through the morning hours. Still maybe a random flake or snow. And then I think by the afternoon, we're just going to kind of taper off to just light showers and drizzle, and then most of this will start to roll right on out of here. So mainly morning rain tomorrow, a few flakes mixed in. 43, 52 on Friday, 56 Saturday. Saturday looks fantastic, and then we will warm up all the way into the 60s by the time we head into mid next week. All right, winter forecast. This is based off the heady pattern. This is my pattern. I found it in 1999, way back in college. I've been working on it ever since. The way it works is every year in September, we have a new pattern that sets up. Within that pattern, we have a recurring cycle. The cycle length can be anywhere from 40 days upwards to 65, 67 days. We're in a La Nina this year. Usually with a stronger La Nina or stronger El Nino, your cycle is shorter into the 40s. That's what we are seeing this year, and we're about ready to start the third cycle. It's going to be a colder winter this winter, but it's not going to be quite as active, meaning as many storm systems as what we've had in the last 2 patterns where we've had quite a bit of rain. Average snow here is 12 inches, 2 to 3 ice storms, 4 Arctic blasts. That's usually what we get every winter. The last big snow we had was January 31st, 2011. We had that 22-inch snow. Since that point in time, we've only had 2 storms that we've hit 6 inches of snow. So 3 main tracks with this pattern. The first one's the one we're in right now. The main jet is to our north, and then we get these storm systems that rotate through, but because the main jet stream is well north, we can't get the cold air, so we get rain, maybe some snow on the backside. So that's the part of the pattern we're in right now. The second track is what we go into next weekend when we start to see some bigger storm systems, which are going to work in. I actually went by a couple graphics there, but we will break this down. So here's what I'm expecting for the winter. Actually, let's see if I can go. There we go. Nope. Okay. For the winter, I think we're going to have 14 storm systems, 3 bigger systems. So I do think, even though this pattern's not as active, we have a bigger potential for bigger storms. So we're going to go 15 inches of snow, 2 ice events, 5 to 6 Arctic blasts. Temperatures on average a hair below, precip on average a hair below, because that includes rain as well. So Jordan, the bottom line here is not quite as active, but we have a better potential this winter to get bigger snows.
Are you willing to commit to any snow days?
Yeah.
For us, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to go to work. Doug Eddy, thanks as always, man. Don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with KOAM Skywatch weather app. You can get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available on the Apple App Store, also the Google Play Store for Android users. All you have to do, search for KOAM Skywatch weather app. Coming up in sports, the Webb City girls kicking off the Carthage Invitational Tournament against Miller plus Missouri Southern. Parting ways with head football coach Jeff Sims.
Missouri Southern announces today that head football coach Jeff Sims has been relieved of his duties as the leader of the program. The Lions are now looking for a new head coach for the second time in a little more than 2 years. Jeff Sims is out after just one season as head football coach at Missouri Southern.
You could see that the vision for the university and maybe my vision weren't on the same page, and so when there's new leadership, they have the right to pick their team and move in their direction.
Missouri Southern Athletic Director Jared Bruggeman announced in a release on Wednesday that Sims would be relieved of his duties and that he and President Dean Van Galen will meet with the players this week regarding the change. The department declined to comment further at this time.
There really wasn't a reason given, and I don't know that they have to give a reason. Dr. Van Galen treated me fairly, and I'm sure he's going to go find somebody that fits his vision and what he sees Missouri Southern football being in the future.
Linebackers coach Joe Batasso will serve as interim head coach through the spring, with a national search for a new head coach beginning soon. As for what's next for Sims,
in my life I've always hit bumps and roads, but God's always has a great plan, and His plan's always been better than mine. I want to be with people that want to win. I'm proud of what I've done as a football coach, and so we'll get new opportunities, and we'll pursue that, and we'll go from there.
And although he was at Southern for just 24 months, he hopes he made an impact on the program.
I think they're all going to be successful, and I'll be successful. I just hope that whoever comes in next gives the players the opportunity to prove themselves, rather than just thinking that they're another coach's guys. They're really good players on the team.
The Lions finished 2-9 in their only season under Sims in 2019. They were unable to play this fall due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, tonight is the opening night of the girls basketball invitational at Carthage High School. Kicking things off tonight, the Webb City Cardinals hit the floor against Miller. Webb City, a little short-handed tonight in their first game of the season. Our first quarter, pretty easy there for Kaylee Helton. Other end, Webb City's J.D. Duda collects her own miss, finishes and the foul. Duda and Helton kind of went back and forth in the first half. Helton, corner three in the second. She had 17 in the first half, 22 on the night. Duda, a little sidestep. She had 10 at the break, 16 in the game. The third quarter, Peyton Richardson takes over from Miller, finishes in transition. Moments later, Richardson cutting to the rim off the pass from Helton. Finally, Richardson, plus the foul. She had 13 in the third alone, 17 for the game. Miller tops Webb City tonight, 63-38. For the nightcap now, it's Tigers on Tigers. Tournament host Carthage facing Lamar. Kiana Yates on the break to Katie Crow. She finishes. It's a hot start for Carthage. Yates steals, goes the other way. Home team up 14-6, 5 minutes in. Lamar tightens that lead. Sierra White spinning and scoring. It's a 5-point ball game after one. Kiana Yates, though, really good for Carthage. Nice floater goes there. Then in transition, right by everybody. Yates had 28 tonight. Carthage takes down Lamar 59-29. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
There's movement on Capitol Hill toward another coronavirus relief bill, but it could still be an uphill battle as negotiations remain at a stalemate. Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan has the latest on where talks stand as Congress works to wrap up business this final month of 2020.
Negotiations for coronavirus relief on Capitol Hill still have life. The top two Democrats in Congress just expressed support for the $908 billion package proposed Tuesday. They stated, "In the spirit of compromise, we believe the bipartisan framework introduced by senators yesterday should be used as the basis for immediate bipartisan bicameral negotiations. That includes $288 billion for small businesses, including the Paycheck Protection Program.
Passing a law takes a measure of bipartisanship and compromise.
But whatever passes Congress needs the president's signature. So Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is working to keep the president's interest in mind during negotiations. The White House is warning some things are off the table, like a package costing trillions and another round of $1,200 direct payments to Americans.
But again, that's something that can be considered down the road.
The president is willing to sign a less costly bill Mitch McConnell proposed yesterday, but that's unlikely to pass the Democratic-controlled House. Either way, the White House is expressing interest in repurposing unused CARES Act funds.
We still would like targeted assistance for PPP small businesses, some unemployment assistance extensions, some help for airlines, other small businesses, schools, anything related to COVID going back to school.
Congress also has a December 11th deadline to fund the government and avoid a shutdown. McConnell says the spending bill and coronavirus relief may come together into one package. Ray Bogan, Fox News.
When we come back, a new Netflix series documenting the life of Selena. Time for the debut of the highly anticipated new Netflix biopic series about the late singer Selena, taking a look at her life before she became the queen of Tejano music. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with more.
Are you guys ready to stop? Selena, the series premieres part 1 of its story about the late singer, exploring her beginnings in Texas and rise to fame with a spotlight on her family life.
I think it's a family drama with the background of music. We were fortunate with this series that we do have the opportunity to tell you more of her history, more of the behind the scenes events that happened during the course of her career and her life.
You really get a very intimate look into the Quintanilla family with fully realized members of that family.
The actors hope audiences will see how connected they felt to the story.
To give back to Selena in any way, shape, or form, as Suzette being her drummer, her sister, her best friend, it really mattered to me that I let all of that do good and give myself any more pressure than I already had.
This whole entire production was there's just a lot of love put into it, and ultimately I think you'll see that on screen.
And cast members also shared if they could talk to Selena, one thing they'd want to make sure they got right.
That I was doing the absolute best job in the portrayal of the earlier years, because there's so much of what happens there and the struggle and the sacrifice that informs everything that happens to her down the road. And well, not just her, the whole family.
I would want to make sure that she knows that we did it with love and that we honor her and that we value the story.
Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Part 1 of the 2-part Selena series premieres on Netflix this Friday. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you with video of Christmas lights around Fort Scott, Kansas. Hopefully to cheer up a dreary day. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.